Edmonton. So, Stephen, welcome to FrightFest. It's the big 25th anniversary. You're here with test screening, which is about an hour away from debuting on this massive screen. How are you feeling?
I'm so excited. This is the first audience to see the finished film, and that's you spend a year and a half making something in total isolation, and this is what it's all about: is watching it with people and hoping that they like it. And it's also the 25th anniversary of one of the greatest film festivals on the planet, so it's an honor to be here and share it with this audience.
And test screening, it's in the 80s. There's been a big drive over the last 5 to 10 years for 80s nostalgia. But I think that test screening does something different. It doesn't really seem to be doing that sort of nostalgia baiting. What was it about, that decade of the 80s that felt right for the story?
Well, that's nice to hear. I appreciate that. That was certainly one of the challenges that we were worried about. I grew up in the 80s, and it's when I fell in love with films. It was set in 1982, which was the year that changed my life for cinema. So that's kind of why we wanted to set it at that time. But in 1982, in a lot of small towns in America, they couldn't really afford the 80s. It was a really tough economically. A lot of plants were folding. It was not a great time for a lot of America. So, kids would go to movies and they would watch these 80s films with the neon and the hair and the pantsuits, but the realities that they would go home to were very, very different. And, so we wanted to kind of capture that authenticity of four people in a town that's kind of dying, that are eager to get out and eager to kind of try to figure out who they are in the world of the 80s.
And as much as it is the 80s, it does still feel quite relevant. There's a lot of themes. Was that quite fun when you suddenly realised that, maybe there was still something that a modern audience could take from a film that's set in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we deliberately wanted to do the past because we wanted to really explore the issues about, personal freedoms and the fact that there's just a lot of downward pressure from governments and societies and communities, institutions that are trying to get people to conform and not be who they are. And I think the tagline we always thought for the film was that when you compel people to be something that they're just not, the results are always going to be monstrous. But a lot of modern films are exploring that very sufficiently through a modern lens. So, we wanted to look at the fact that we've come a long way, but we still haven't come as far as we need to go. So it seemed like it just made sense to kind of look at that through 1982. Also, that was the first time I really saw it. I had friends in the 80s when I was 11 and 12 who were gay, and where I grew up in that time period, that simply wasn't allowed. And I can't even imagine the pressures that they had to face on a daily basis. So, a bunch of the characters in the film are sort of based on real people in my life too. So it all just kind of made sense to try to make it work in the 80s.
And without too many spoilers, this gets quite gory, gets quite gooey. It must be fun turning up to set and seeing practical effects at work.
Yeah, we always wanted to try to do. Clark Baker is the filmmaker. He's a friend of mine, and we've been trying to make a movie together for a while. We always fantasized about doing a genre film that started off like a Spielberg movie, then turned into a John Carpenter movie, and then finally ended up like a David Cronenberg movie. And so practical effects were always part of the conversation from the beginning. We wanted to do everything practically, and we had an extraordinary artist, a guy named Adam Doherty. He goes by the name of Creature Kid. He's out of Denver, Colorado, and he did all the practical effects and did a bang-up job. And it was a lot of fun using that stuff on set because you're so used to using CG, digital augmentation. So it was nice to kind of go old school with it.
I'm going to let you go and enjoy your premiere. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kat. Very nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
You too.